Welcome to the Farming Without the Bank podcast, the show with a no BS approach to money, hosted by a farm strategy expert and authorized IBC practitioner. Join us as we get real and expose the flaws of traditional financial institutions in order to help farmers take control of their finances, create peace of mind, grow their wealth, and leave a legacy. Now, here's your host, Mary Jo Irmen.
Hello and welcome to today's podcast. Thank you very much once again for being here. All right, today we are going to talk about another chapter in Nelson's book, and this chapter is Use It or Lose It. And so if you have not gotten his book yet, I really don't know why, unless you're a brand new listener and you've never heard me tell you to do this. But if you are an avid listener, which I have a lot of those, so thank you. I appreciate that. But if you are an avid listener and you have not gotten Becoming Your Own Banker, why? It's just a question. I ask it every single time we go over this book because it's so good, you guys. And yes, this is like a book study. So, go grab the book. You can't study a book if you don't have the book. Okay, and you can do that on farmingwithoutthebank.com. You can get Nelson's book, you can get my book in audio, and so it's a great combination between the two. So let's dive into Use It or Lose It. I am learning so much in these book studies, and Nelson talks about the fact that we have gone over Parkinson's law. A luxury once enjoyed becomes a necessity, right? Our income rises to meet, or really our needs rise to meet our income. Anytime we get a raise, we're going to go spend it and buy new things. That's Parkinson's law. Willie Sutton's law is that why not rob a bank? That's where the money's at. The golden rule, those with money make the rules. And the arrival syndrome, thinking that you know everything. We've covered those four things. I have done 2 podcasts. I've actually done 3 podcasts on those things. So if you've not listened to those 3, go back, listen to those. And now we are talking about Use It or Lose It. And that is just overcoming human nature. And, human nature is to say, well, no, we can't do this because, or I have to create this new habit, or whatever it might be, right? And Nelson goes on to say, it's not easy to conquer this, but it's absolutely necessary to overcome human nature. And he compares it to brushing your teeth. If you don't brush your teeth, they're going to fall out, right? They're going to rot. It's the same thing with anything that we do. If you don't put oil in your tractor and you don't maintain your vehicle maintenance, your tractor maintenance, whatever it is, it's not going to work. We have to continue to do those things, to maintain those things. If we get something new that has, I'm running out of ideas here, but if we get a new piece of equipment, maybe the maintenance is a little bit different on it. Okay, great. We need to do that. We need to learn that. That needs to become a new habit. And he says, the arrival syndrome produces a comfort zone that causes people to lapse into their old way of doing things, right? So the arrival syndrome, again, was we think we know everything, so we don't need to continue to learn. Well, if we don't continue to learn, what happens to our brain? We become stagnant. We have, by default, fallen into that arrival syndrome. Why do we ever want to stop learning? Why do we think that we can go to school for 12 years, maybe go to college, and then the last day that we graduate from high school or college, whatever it was, we're done. Woohoo! Great, we never have to read another book. Isn't that crazy, that thought process? And the reason that we think that way, in my opinion, is because we hated everything that school was teaching us. and it wasn't relevant to what we wanted to do. And I am not a big proponent of college unless absolutely necessary, like you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer or something of that nature. All these kids that are going to school for business, you know what? I have a business degree. Guess what I learned in college? Zero, zilcho. And I even went through what was called the accelerated program. So I actually had business owners teaching me rather than professors who have never actually owned a business. But I just look and go, oh my gosh, everything I have learned, I have had to pay for coaching from people that have way more successful businesses than I have. I have paid for that because those are the people that I've learned from. I've learned from podcasts. I've learned from all these things that had nothing to do with going into a building every single day for 4 years, right? And so I'm not a big proponent of school because once we get out of school, we think we know everything and we've got the arrival syndrome. And we don't want to learn anything else because what they told us is all we need to know. Now we can go live our life and work our job. Why do we think like that? Are we supposed to think like that? Is that what society and the school system wants? Because now those of us like myself that question things all the time, people are annoyed with me. And it was really interesting because I've been questioning a lot of stuff going on in the country right now. And I have a person in my family who I love dearly. And they're frustrated with me. And they said, Mary Jo, you're not a rule follower. I'm like, oh no, I'm a rule follower. Like to the point where I can be annoying. Like, don't be speeding because there's a rule for that. For example, don't be texting and driving because there's rules for that as well. And so like I can definitely be a rule follower, right? But I question things as to why. Why are we doing it this way? Why are they saying I need to do that? Why? And if you question and ask why, it annoys people. But I'm constantly wanting to learn. Why? Why should I put money in a 401k? Why not put money in life insurance? Why do I have to go to the bank for a loan? Why is the government just handing out free money for unemployment? Who's going to pay for that? All these things I need to have answers for because I am constantly wanting to know, right? If we don't use our brain, we lose it. We become very stagnant. We have the arrival syndrome. Nelson also says, what I'm teaching is equivalent to teaching that the world is round when most folks think that it is flat. So think about this. This concept, everybody thinks it's life insurance. It is not about life insurance. And it is so hard for people to understand it because it is like when people thought the world was flat, right? And it's actually round. Like I can't even get my head around that because everybody else and all the noise is telling me that I need to go to the stock market, that I should be going to the bank to get my money. All the talking heads are telling me that I need to pay cash for everything. When in fact, all the concept amounts to is a recognition of the fact that your own capital has a cost of money, as well as that which has been borrowed from the banks. The infinite banking concept is dealing with a totally different paradigm. This amounts to a personal monetary system. Are you guys hearing that? It is a recognition of the fact that your own capital has a cost of money. This is not about a rate of return. This is not about a life insurance policy. This is not about how to structure that policy. Yes, those things are somewhat important. But if you don't understand the concept that you need to be the banker, that there is a loss when you use cash, if you don't understand the fundamentals of this concept, who cares that you bought a life insurance policy? Kudos to you. Are you going to implement what you need to start becoming your own banker and create the pool of money of which you can go grab from and be the bank? Are you going to do that? Do you understand what we're doing here? I had somebody email me last week and said, Mary Jo, I would like to see an illustration before we meet. Not a chance in heck am I going to send out an illustration if I've not met with you. Never, ever, ever gonna happen. Don't even bother asking me for it. Why would I send you an illustration? I am not selling you life insurance. I am teaching you an infinite banking concept. And if you don't want to learn that concept, you might want, and you want an illustration, you've clearly not read the first half of my book, and you definitely have not read Nelson's book. Many people skip the first half of my book and they skip the first half of Nelson's book. If you wanted to go buy life insurance, just go to the guy next door that's selling it. Somebody else emailed me and said, Mary Jo, you have about these questions and answers in the book of what we should ask our agent. Is there anything else I should ask a local agent? Yeah. Is he an IBC practitioner? Does he understand the concept? Can he or she help you understand the concept and help you have that mindset shift going forward? If they can't help you with that, how are you going to know how to utilize the policy? Remember, the tool is the life insurance policy. The concept is changing the thought process. I had a call with a client 2 weeks ago, and they thought it was going to be a quick phone call, deciding what to do with their money. It was not a quick phone call because there's all kinds of things to think about. How do we want to use that money? 30 minutes later, she's like, oh my gosh, I have a lot to think about. I'm like, you do have a lot to think about because it's not just a cut and dry answer. All the talking heads would give you just a cut and dry answer in 5 seconds without knowing the whole picture. No, that's not how it works. Nelson goes on to say, this is a totally new point of reference, which means one must develop new habits. After talking with members of the infinite banking concept, members, those of us after talking with members, many are still caught up in the posture of thinking that the matter is a function of interest rates. This is a fatal error. It has to do with recognizing where money is flowing to and the failure of charging interest to yourself for the things that you buy using your own banking system. Anytime that you can cut out the payment of interest to others and direct that same market rate of interest to an entity that you own and control, then you have improved your situation. It is not about trying to make a rate of return in the market. If you are putting your money in a 401k or an IRA or a Roth or a CD, you are trying to make a rate of return. And then you go to the bank and you borrow money at a rate of return. Are you borrowing money for less than what that investment is? And what is your investment over a long period of time, right? Not short term. Oh, what was it this year? If you're going to have a mortgage for 30 years, if you're going to have a land payment for 30 years, if you're going to have credit cards for 10 years at 18%, are you making that in the market? If you're using cash, are you paying yourself back plus interest? These are all super important things because this is not a function of interest rates. We are not trying to chase a rate of return. We are trying to have liquidity, control, and guarantees. Those three things. When you are the bank and the banker, you have liquidity of money, you have control of the payback terms, and you have guarantees. With the life insurance policy, there are guarantees that it's going to have a guaranteed growth. Liquidity, control, and guarantees if you're the banker. If you're not the banker, there's no guarantee on anything. I have a client right now trying to buy some land. It is like the best deal of the century. It's absolutely unbelievable the opportunity that they have to purchase land at nearly a 50% discount. And the bank is not seeing it. And they are going through hell and back trying to get this land purchased. And the one bank said to her, why don't you see if he can owner finance you for a year and then or two, and then in a year or two, you can come back to us. Are you kidding me? We're supposed to go, okay, we'll just trust that in 2 years, you give me the money I need to buy this place, even though you won't give it to me today. Now, keep in mind, this is a horse property. Banks hate horse properties. They don't like anything to do with horses because they don't understand them. But yet, we're supposed to come back to you in 2 years to show you what? That everything is working? We don't know where the economy is going to be in 2 years. Are you going to put that in writing that you're going to give me something? If we're the bank, we don't have to depend on that, do we? Nope, absolutely not. So why is it so important that we become the banker, that we own the bank? Because we have that control. We don't have to wait and go, okay, well, that's a really good idea. I'm just going to hope and pray that you're going to be here in 2 years to give me my money or to lend me, not give me my money, but lend me money. Really? That is what we're putting ourselves subject to because we don't put any value on our own dollar because we've never been taught that our own dollar has value. This is the other part of use it or lose it, is that I have a lot of clients that use their policy as like a savings account. Or they read the book once and they go, this is fantastic, Mary Jo. I'm going to start this and this is going to be awesome. And they start it and they never use the policy. And then they come back to me in 5 or 6 years and say, why do I even have this thing? I don't remember why I have it. Well, of course you don't remember why you have it because you've never used it. So you've lost the idea. We didn't make it a habit. And so if we start to make it a habit and we go there to use it and we're constantly filling our head with new things, with new ideas, and we're constantly learning and listening to this podcast or other podcasts, we are learning all the time of ways to use things. I have a couple of clients who have listened to some of the podcasts that I've suggested, and they have made money doing things, real estate, just getting better ideas of how to run their operation, just expanding our mind. Because we didn't like high school, because we didn't like college, and it didn't apply to what we wanted to learn, that doesn't mean that there aren't things out here that we can continue to learn, right? We have the internet and podcasts are the best thing in the world. It can be good and it can be bad. It can be bad because there's so much information we don't even know what's real. And it can be good because there's so much information we can help make our own decision. When I was growing up, we had encyclopedias. I actually went to an antique store with my daughter and they had a whole set of encyclopedias. I know there are a lot of you listening that know what these encyclopedias are. That was so painful to have to try to look something up. And that was our only source of information was encyclopedias. If that's where it was written, it was factual. We didn't have an opportunity to decipher another side of information because we didn't have another side. That was a good old encyclopedia. That's what it was put in. That's what we had, a whole shelf of them. That's how we did our homework. Today, we have so much information and we have an opportunity to expand our minds. Why would we not do that? You do it all day long for farming and ranching or whatever it is that you're growing. You are doing that. Why are you not doing it with your finances? I talked to a guy the other day that's growing garlic. And I said, why garlic? Well, he wanted something that was low input, that he didn't have to buy equipment for. And so he was able to go out and research to find what that was. What could he grow in Wisconsin in the cold with low input and low acres and still make some money? That was absolutely awesome. Would an encyclopedia have told him that? No. Did he maybe like high school? I don't know, right? But I didn't like high school. I hated it. I went there just to socialize. But once I got out of high school and realized that I could learn stuff that I wanted to learn, it was a never-ending quest for me. I love to learn about things that I want to learn about. I do not like to learn about things I don't want to know about. That is the glory of everything that we have, is we now have an opportunity to do that. So use your brain. Don't let it rot. And pay attention to what this concept is, because it is not about a rate of return. That is what the noise is. That is what everybody else wants you to believe. This is about becoming the banker. This is about a personal monetary system that you control. And the fact that your money has a cost, regardless of what everybody else is telling you, cash is not king. And I talk about that in my book. So if you have a policy and you're not using it, why? How much cash are you spending? Are you paying that back to your savings account plus interest? If you don't have a policy, why? Because you're scared that it's life insurance? Because you don't truly understand the thought process? I encourage you to get the Farming Without the Bank book, to get Nelson's book, and we have an awesome bundle on the website. We have an awesome bundle. You can get my book, you can get the audio, you can get Nelson's book. And a lot of people are loving the audio, and they like the fact that they also can get that hard copy book. So grab it all so you understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. Because if you never read anything, if you never educate yourself, I can tell you until you're blue in the face why you should do this, but you probably are not going to truly understand it until you study it. And go back to listen to those other podcasts to understand the other chapters. And I'm not even halfway through Nelson's book, you guys. Seriously. Think about all the stuff we've talked about. This is the stuff we have to get the thought process in order before we can go ahead and talk about numbers. Because if we're not thinking about this correctly, you're going to continually go back to rate of return. It's not about a rate of return. I mean, I say that all the time. I'm going to keep saying it till the day I die. It's not about a rate of return. It's about you having control and liquidity of that money. Okay, I hope that helped a little bit understanding some more of the concept. If you guys have questions on anything, as usual, email me at maryjo@withoutthebank, and I would be happy to answer all of those questions for you. For you farmers, I had a farm finance conference a few years ago, and there is a recording of that conference on farmingwithoutthebank.com. If you go to the store, you can get, it's not a CD of the conference. It is all online videos, but you can have videos of every speaker that we had, and Nelson was one of those speakers. Make sure that you go to farmingwithoutthebank.com, go to the store. It's like $99, which is super inexpensive. We had 2 attorneys, one talking about estate plan, one talking about business structure setup. We had a long-term care guy. We had a marketing guy for grain marketing. He was awesome. Myself, Nelson. And then we had a farm family mediator talking. We had 8 or 9 speakers, and it was a 2-day event. Absolutely amazing. And we've not had another one just due to the fact that it was in Nashville, and Nashville is super expensive, and now they're completely shut down. So Lord only knows when that's going to happen again. Anyway, you can go on there. You can get the recording of that. If you need anything, have questions on the concept, need to schedule, whatever, let me know. I am booking out into October at this point. So once you get the book, you are going to get emails. Those emails are going to have a link to my calendar. You are going to have a month to read the book. Go ahead, schedule right away, and just make sure the book is read before we meet. Because October, get on the calendar. Get on the calendar for November or December. I mean, you're probably going to be hauling grain, but you probably shouldn't be in the field. Let's hope not. Okay, let me know if there's anything that I can do for you. In the meantime, you guys have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week, and we will talk to you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Farming Without the Bank podcast. We hope today's episode has inspired you to take control of your finances in new ways. Don't forget to check out our website, farmingwithoutthebank.com, and engage with us on our Facebook page, Farming Without the Bank. Join us next week as we smash more financial myths and empower you to accomplish your financial goals.